welcome back to the Beach Bum Bookworm. I am Tiffany. I'm so glad y'all found me again today. My channel is all about cozy mysteries and romance books, and today I'm talking about my December 2021 wrap-up. All the cozy mysteries I read in December, and it is a great list. I had another really great reading month, so let's get into it. But first, tell me what you read in December. What was your favorite read? What was your favorite read of the year? While you're at it, anything else that you want to talk about, down in the comments is the place to do it. On your way down to comment, please, please, please stop. Hit the subscription and the notification bell. Notification bell is going to tell you when I put on new videos each and every single week. Each and every single week, so you don't miss a thing. And the subscription keeps my channel growing. There you go. All right, let's get to it. We're looking at the December 2021 wrap up for the month for Cozy Mysteries in 3, 2, 1, go! All right, so let's get to some real quick announcements. Wednesday, we have our sprinting, same as always. It's at 6 p.m. Don't let anybody tell you different, because sometimes that Tiffany woman tells you different, like 6:30. That's not true. Don't listen to her. At 6 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see you there. It's a lot of fun. We just chat and read. There you go. Saturday, we have our Killing Time with Cozies live. We do it every Saturday at 12 Eastern with my co-conspirator, Cozy Row. And we often have other people join us. This Saturday is our scavenger hunt pick for Murder. Murder can be on the title, somewhere in the title, all that jazz. So those are pretty much the announcements for the week. So let's get into it. The first one that I read in the month of December, the first cozy mystery, is Slashing Through the Snow. I don't know if you guys guessed that, but you should have, because I started it December 1st, the morning of. I thought it was going to start November 30th, but who was I kidding? I wasn't going to wake up to start it, but it was so good. In this one, somebody comes to the B&B that they run on their Christmas tree farm that they've just kind of got going, and it's this vicious, mean old critic, and then she ends up dead. I absolutely love this series. I was so excited to hear that very recently, within the last week, that there's going to be a number 4, y'all. Oh, so excited. The main gist of this is, I can't think of the main character, but she works on her family's Christmas tree farm, and it takes place in somewhere named Mistletoe, Maine, which in itself is just cozy. Sorry, that's my dog in the background. And there's games, and they have these annual games, and they do all sorts of different events, and they have like this hot chocolate bakery type of place, and I don't know, but I want to go. That's where I want to be, but inside. Like, don't get it wrong. I want to be inside by the fireplace, reading a book and drinking some hot cocoa. I gave it 5 big cups of coffee. I absolutely loved it. Number 2, I read Cappuccinos, Cupcakes, and a Corpse. This is the first book in the Cape Bay Cafe Mystery series by Harper Lynn. And in this one, our main character, Francesca, comes back to her hometown and takes over her family's business, which is just a little cafe shop. And her neighbor ends up getting killed, and her neighbor's son and her have a big history. They were friends growing up, and they kind of work together. I gave it 3 cups of coffee. It was a good solid read. I didn't love it, but I definitely liked it enough that I will continue on with the series. The next one, Oh Say Can You Fudge? This is number 3 in the Candy Coated series by Nancy Coco. So in this one, of course, it's 4th of July. And the main character, what is her name? Allie. She has she got in this position where she gets to not only supply the refreshments, but she's also organizing the fireworks display. It's a very big deal to her, and the guy that was supposed to be doing the fireworks ends up murdered, and the warehouse basically exploded with fireworks, all this stuff. And so she's trying to figure out what is going on, as well as make sure she can get the annual firework display to go off without a hitch. because that's a very big deal, and she wants to keep her position. So I gave it 4 cups of coffee. I really enjoyed it. I will definitely be reading the next one. That series is a lot of fun. The main character works at her family's fudge shop, and then there's also like this historic hotel above the fudge shop, or something like that. It's in the same building. There's a fudge shop and a hotel. Let's just say it that way. It's a really, really cool atmosphere. The island doesn't allow cars, and it feels very cozy. Oh, love it. The next one I read was In Peppermint Peril. This was the first book in the Tea and Read mystery series by Joy Avon. And I don't have a lot to say about it. I didn't enjoy it. I thought I would. The main character organizes book-themed tea parties. That seems like it would be right up my alley. And I can't even tell you what it was about it. It just didn't hit the spot for me. I gave it 2 cups of coffee. I might give the second one another try, but I just really didn't connect with that book. The next book I read, oh my gosh, I love this one. This might have been one of my favorites of the month. I read A +1 for Murder. This is the first book in the Friend for Hire mystery series by Laura Bradford, who will be coming on the channel this Sunday. Oh my gosh, when I did the announcements. This Sunday, Laura Bradford will be coming to the channel at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. She's going to talk about her new series and answer more questions from readers, and I'm so excited about it. She writes one of my all-time favorite series, but this one... So our main character, Emma, she has a travel business, and it's not working out because people use the internet generally. I mean, travel agents have become, unfortunately, not, the most sought after person because everybody does everything online. So she really wants to work for herself, and she has a older friend that she has tea with, and that friend's like, well, you should start this friend for hire business. And Emma's like, huh? And basically people hire her to be their friend. Somebody hires her to go to the gym with her. There's an older gentleman that hires her to make somebody else jealous and go to a dance. And then the victim is also someone that hires her. He hires her to go to a poetry reading with him. And he's like, I just want you to clap when it's over. And she's like, oh, okay. And he's like, because everybody here wants to kill me. And then he ends up dead. So good. I gave it 5 huge cups of coffee. I can't tell you how much I personally love Laura Bradford's writing style. I think that's why one of her other series, like I said, is one of my favorite all the time. There's just something about the way that she writes that pulls me in. The other thing is, friend for hire, most of the time they're like elderly people that just want companionship. And hello, that's right up my alley. I loved it. One of my favorite reads of the month. Next up, I read Game On. This is Tempting 28 in the Stephanie Plum series. It's this same story, different book, but I still love it. I even know it's not repetitive, but she's bounty hunting a case. She's having problems. Her car's getting blown up. She's getting shot at. Ranger's in the picture, Joe's in the picture. I love it all. Oh, and you can't forget Grandma Mazur's going to be there giving you a laugh, and Lula, who's one of my all-time favorite side characters. I absolutely love it. I'll continue reading it until this series does no longer put out new books. I gave it 5 cups of coffee. It's just a comfort read for me. I love them. Next up, we have Book, Line, and Sinker. This is the 3rd book in the Library Lover series by Jen McKinley. I gave it 3 cups of coffee. I really, really like this series. This book, it was just the plot of it. There was a group of people that were treasure hunting, and they found old bones. And that just doesn't resonate as a plot that I enjoy that much. I need the plot to be present tense. Some people love it, and that's great. I'm definitely continuing on in the series. I really, really enjoy the series as a whole, and I enjoy Jen McKinley as a writer. Next up, I read Beyond a Reasonable Stout. It's right here. This is the 3rd book in the Sloan Krause series by Ellie Alexander. And in this one, it's the off season. Oktoberfest is past, which is obviously the big tourist season because this takes place in Leavenworth, Washington, which is this Bavarian town. And so it's the off season, and there's going to be a re-election for mayor, I think it is. And the guy that is running wants to make Leavenworth dry, which is really interesting because all of their tourist money comes from the fact that they celebrate Oktoberfest and all of that stuff. So interesting. Well, shockingly, people are upset by this, and he ends up dead. Loved it. One of my favorite, probably my favorite of this series. I really enjoyed this series. The main character, Sloan, was working at her husband's family's brewery, and she leaves her husband, and so she's working at this microbrewery called Nitro, and it's just so much fun. I love it. I love the side characters. April cracks me up. I would love more April. So much fun. Next up, I read Marriage Can Be Mischief. This is the third book in the Amish Matchmaker series by Amanda Flower, and this one I gave 3.5 cups of coffee. It was another one that was like, so there is this person who is filming this movie sort of thing, and they find bones, and like years ago, there was a couple, and they allude to him, this Amish man, that he was abusive towards his wife, and he was found dead with a needle in his neck, or stabbed with a needle, like a crochet, or well, actually a knitting needle. And the skeleton, though, they find, because they found him right when it happened, but the skeleton they find was his wife. They always assumed that his wife killed him and then ran away, but her bones were found at the bottom of a hill from where he was found. So then there's all this, investigating, and that's where Millie comes in. She is our main character. She is an Amish matchmaker. Absolutely love this series. This was not my favorite book in this series because, again, I don't necessarily like when they find old bones and we don't see the victim in the present tense. I don't know why. I just don't connect as much to the book in that case. Next up, I read Murphy's Slaw. It is right here. This is the third book in the Alaskan Diner Cozy Mystery series by Elizabeth Logan. So in this one, our main character goes to the state fair, which she was not really wanting to go to, and the victim is a friend of hers, and so she gets herself involved in the investigation. I gave this 3 cups of coffee, enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite of the month, but I will definitely continue the series. I love Alaska as a cozy mystery setting, and I love me a diner, so it's a series that I probably will continue to go back to time and time again. Next up, I read Mistletoe, Moussaka, and Murder right here. This is the 5th book in the Kebab Kitchen series, which was a series read-along that our Killing Time with Cozies did, and we are going to do a new series read-along starting in March, I believe. And all the information of the series that we picked is on the Discord. So if you're a Cozy Mystery fan and you have not joined our Discord, you need to. I'll put the link in the description below. So check that out. Join us. It's a lot of fun. So this book, Lucy, our main character, wants to do this polar bear plunge, which is crazy to me, but to each their own, And during the polar plunge, this guy who was, he owned like a reception hall, and actually Lucy and him had a small interaction about having her and Azad's wedding there, and he was really nasty. He ends up dead. Somebody drowns him in the middle of the polar plunge. So how many people around? And nobody knows a thing. Lots of suspects, 4 cups of coffee. I really enjoyed this book, and I really enjoyed this series overall. Next up, I read Live and Let Pie. This is the 9th book in the Bakeshop mystery, and I'm telling you, there was something about finding old bones this month in my books, which is not my favorite. As I mentioned, I gave this 3 cups of coffee. So Jules is trying to help her mom find a new home for her mom, and her mom just got remarried. And they find a skull, and while they're having a picnic, they hear these little girls that are swimming in this little lake start screaming, and they had found like a bone, and then that uncovers the body, and it's a cold case. I just don't find that plot very, very interesting to me. I gave it 3 cups of coffee. I absolutely love this series. Will absolutely continue the series. This just wasn't my favorite. Next up, I read The Santa Suit. This is by Mary Kate Andrews. It's a standalone, which I don't ever read standalones, but this was a Christmas read, and it was so cute. So our main character is newly divorced, and she buys this farmhouse. She hasn't even seen it. And while she's cleaning out the farmhouse and getting it prepared for herself to move in and all those things, she finds this Santa suit. And it was such a cute read. I gave it 4 cups of coffee. I definitely recommend it for the holiday season. Next up, I read A Cup of Holiday Fear. This is the 10th book in the Bakeshop series by Ellie Alexander. And this was my favorite book of the entire series because it was obviously a Christmas book, but they go to a Dickens Christmas feast, and that is just something that is right up my alley. I would love anything like that. I loved the descriptions. The mystery was good. Somebody at the dinner ends up dead. I absolutely loved it. Favorite of the series. Next up, I read Malice in Christmas River. This is the 4th book in the Christmas River series by Meg Muldoon. And in this one, they are at the rodeo, Cinnamon and Daniel, and there's an accident, and Daniel gets hurt. And I don't want to give too much away. And then you wonder if it's an accident, and Cinnamon is on the case, and she's going to figure it out. I gave it 4 cups of coffee. I'm really starting to love this series, and I as well. As other people in the Discord have talked about, the relationship between Cinnamon and Daniel is really, really awesome, and I just enjoy the series. Next up, I read Dear Santa. This is another standalone Christmas book by Debbie Maycomber, and our main character has written letters to Santa since she was little, and it's funny because she wrote this letter that she really didn't like this boy in her class. He ends up being her romance throughout this book. Really cute. Really great Christmas read, as always, by Debbie Maycomber. I gave it 4 cups of coffee. Next up, I read Mischief in Christmas River right here. I was trying to read a bunch of Christmas books. I guess you can probably tell that. This is number 5 by Meg Muldoon. And in this one, Cinnamon has some competition because this lady was in town and right across the street opens up a pie bakery shop. And then she enters what is Cinnamon's favorite thing, the gingerbread contest. Cinnamon's usually kind of the shoe-in from what it sounds like. And I gave this 3 cups of coffee. I loved the new person moving into town and the competition between the two of them and the gingerbread and all that. But there was without giving too much away, there was a plot line of dogs going missing and all this stuff, and then there was a dream sequence that I just didn't care for, and so I gave it 3 cups of coffee. Still love this series. I will still continue this series. It was just a personal thing for me. Next up, I read Dark Tort. This is the 13th book in the Goldy Bear Cozy Mystery series by Diane Mott Davidson. And in this one, the caterer, Goldy, which is our main character, she gets a contract to provide breakfast and catering for a lawyer's office. And a paralegal ends up getting killed, and Goldy is, of course, on the case. Loved it. I gave it 3.5 cups of coffee. I actually think that I would have given it more, except that I've not read this series in so long. It was hard to kind of just fall back into it. But 3.5 cups of coffee, that's a great rating. I will definitely continue. Next up, I read Crepe Expectations. This is the 5th book in the Pancake House series by Sarah Fox. And in this one, there's going to be a chef competition, and they're doing some renovations on this inn type of place, and human remains come up. Again, another one that was they just find the remains of somebody, and it turns out it was a pretty cold case, and I did enjoy this one a little bit more than some of the others. I gave it 4 cups of coffee, but in general, I just not a big fan of that storyline. And it seems like almost all the cozies I read this month had that storyline. Not all of them, but quite a few. Next up, I read Mannequin Christmas River. This is the 6th book in the Christmas River series by Meg Muldoon. And in this one, it's the 4th of July. And Warren is back in town, which Warren is Cinnamon's grandfather, who's adorable. He's been in Scotland. He comes home, and he's going to open up this brewery with his wife that's like 15 years his junior, and then somebody ends up dead. Favorite book of the series. I really, really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4.5 cups of coffee. Next up, I read Nothing But Trouble. This is the 11th book in the Bakeshop series by Ellie Alexander. I gave it 3 cups of coffee. I actually probably gave it 2.5 cups of coffee and rounded it up to 3. Again, I love this series. This is about the plot. This one, I just was so bored with it. I hate to say that. So Jules moves into her childhood home and she finds this old journal from her dad, and the rest of the book is kind of like her reading the journal, and it just did not hold my attention. I can't wait for the next book in the series. I mean, they're out. I will be reading it very soon. I love this series. This one just wasn't my cup of tea. The last cozy I read for the month was Fudge and Felonies right here. This is number 2 in the Frosted Misfortune series by Lisa Seifert. I loved it. I'm really enjoying this series. I'm reading the 3rd one right now on ebook. It's kind of been put on hold because I have some other ebooks I have to get through. But this series is so much fun. So our main character, Ava, she inherited her boss's cupcake shop when her boss was murdered, which happens in the 1st book. And in this one, her and her best friend's high school nemesis ends up dead. And there is a beauty pageant going on, and Ava has to try to, get in with the contestants, and there is a love interest that starts, and I absolutely love it, and I really love this series. I gave it 4.5 cups of coffee. So overall, I had a great reading month. If you're still with me, give me a big thumbs up, and until next time, may all your future reads be 5 stars. Bye, everybody!